back from Bakersfield, and there was something that I forgot to mention yesterday, which is that um, there was a girl who was a finalist, and um, she she lost her final. She was the number one seed in the country in her weight class going into that match. And she got her butt kicked. And it was really interesting because she just looked very hesitant. Like she didn't have her mojo. Like she would start things, but she wouldn't finish them. And the other girl was just all in. Like there was like no doubt. So it was really interesting to see because she was really outmatched. And you know, I'm guessing if they wrestled again, it would be different. But it was just interesting to see that match. But the thing about that match that really impressed me, so that girl has a brother who graduated last year, and he was also one of the best wrestlers in the state and the country. And he was a finalist his junior year and lost in the finals. And last year was his senior year, and he was the number one kid in the state all year. And in the semifinals at the state tournament, he got pinned. And it was kind of a freak thing. Like it was just a weird, it was almost like an accident, but it happened. And so, you know, his dream of winning a state title is gone. And he reacted by, like, you know, getting up, shaking the guy's hand, running off the mat. And then before he went back into the lockers, he kind of stopped, stood, and just collected himself. And then the rest of the tournament, he had two more matches and he kicked everyone's butt and just really, like, it was clear that he had kind of put it behind him, right? Because there's a lot of people in that situation. They lose that match and then they lose the rest of the matches in the tournament. They just can't recover mentally. And for him, it was like nothing. It was like nothing had happened. And this girl, so this was his sister, right? And I was watching her after her loss. And she comes off the mat and she walks off the mat with her coaches and she's going back into the lockers. And, like she wasn't happy, but you couldn't really tell that she had lost. Her shoulders weren't sagging. She was standing upright. Her face was composed. And it just really struck me because it reminded me of her brother and the way he handled things. And it was just clear to me that she's cut from the same cloth. And so it just was like, the parents of these kids did a good job. It was just so impressive. I remember last year being impressed by this kid. His name is Brockton Borelli. And his sister's name, I think, is Alexandria. Either Angelica or Alexandria. Anyway, both, great wrestlers, but just clearly good people, just grounded, just super grounded. That was the word that came to mind as I watched her, grounded. Like if she had won, I don't think her reaction would have been much different. I mean, I'm sure she would have been probably would have had a smile on her face or something, would have hugged her coaches, whatever. But she was just super composed. This is the number one kid in the country. She was supposed to win that match and she didn't, and it wasn't even close. So, it would be really interesting to know what was going through her head and why she, didn't wrestle her best match, but whatever. The thing that's really most important, because wrestling is going to end, but that kid's life is going to continue, and she's really well prepared for life. And it's just impressive how her parents and, her community, whoever has been around her, and both her and her brother, who, by the way, is at Stanford now, so they're, he's doing fine. Um, but just how they were prepared for life by the people in their lives, just clearly super solid, you know, people. So it was really impressive. Yeah, it's just wonderful to see that stuff. It was it was a powerful weekend. Yeah, man. Um, it's just it's one of those that you kind of wish it could go on forever. It's just like wrestling heaven. So yeah, um, yeah, it was pretty good.